Kaká! And they've got in to score here.
Eu sou o Kaká e você está ouvindo o FIFA Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the FIFA 12 podcast. I am indeed, or at least I hope I am. Yes, I am. That's what my name badge says. Stevie Morgan. And joining me all the way across the Atlantic Ocean through the power of telecommunication is a man who makes Fernando Torres look prolific. It is, of course, Romilly Broad from the heart of the very nerve centre of the EA Sports operation in Vancouver. Romilly, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I've had a bit of a stressful morning there.
Okay, coming up on today, do you think I care, Rom? Do you really
not really.
think I care?
No.
Listen, Rom, why do you want to bring us down straight at the top of this podcast? You know, Baby Lee, the producer, said to me, let's give it plenty of bounce. This is the last podcast before FIFA 12 comes out. Let's get out of the traps fast, get to the first bend, start as you mean to go on, and give it lots of oomph, he said to me. That's the actual expression you use, yeah. And you want to bring everyone down by saying, oh no, I've had a terrible morning.
I didn't say it was terrible. I just said it
My
was a bit
butler
stressful.
served me Ceylon when I actually wanted Earl Grey.
Well, that is a bit of a nightmare when that happens, isn't it?
Yes.
And sometimes he puts a squirt of lemon in instead of semi-skimmed.
I really don't want to go there right now. And I think I speak for the rest of the world when I say I think we should give that particular thing a wide berth. Because in a packed, pulsating, and dare I say it, pugnacious podcast, we will be speaking to Matthew Smith, the man responsible for setting the player ratings in FIFA 12. There's a podcast extra, and we haven't had one of those for a while, but we do indeed have one today featuring Sebastian Enrique, one of the men behind Creation Centre. And in the Big Shout, we will be asking, what are the teams, leagues, or players that you're going to create in the aforementioned Creation Centre? But we're starting with something that everybody has got, something that is unique to everyone when they play FIFA. And that is, Romilly Broad, what you say when you score. Now, we floated this on Twitter. We got acres of responses on Twitter because, as I say, everybody's got something that they like to do after they score. And we've got a few interesting ones there on the page in front of me. Now, Rom, you and I have only, we as we've mentioned earlier, you and I were fortunate enough to spend some time together in Cologne for Gamescom. Yes. And I think it was in Cologne that you and I had our first and only, so far, only game of FIFA 12. Now, would you like to remind everyone, or indeed tell everyone, what the score of that game was?
I can't really remember. I'm pretty sure I won.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I won 1-0. We were both playing as Barcelona. I won 1-0. And when I scored...
I remember what you said when you scored.
I told you that I was your daddy.
Yes, you did, Daddy.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Because everybody's got something unique that they like to do. What do you like to do? Because I know you spent a great deal of time playing Baby Lee whilst you were over here in the UK before you turned your back on the country. What would you do when you scored against him?
Well, I picked up his line, actually. So his line was boom, and then he would just repeat that over and over again until you made him shut up by whatever means you had available. But I find myself, and I don't, it's kind of involuntary, this, when you score, especially if you're me, you're always a little bit surprised that it's actually happened, and things just pop out, don't they? That's kind of the thing.
Again, I think we're going down a very rocky road.
Words
yes,
pop out.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, let's go through some of the responses we've had. Mogfortron, can't be his real name, actually picks up on that and has exactly the same response as Baby Lee, and that is boom.
It's not like, look, he's put in capital letters and there are many zeros. You need to do that better.
Okay. He says, boom. How's that?
Yeah.
Oh.
In your face. That's the bit I add on as well.
Next up is Youngstown 97, who says, "I simply whisper, so pure." I don't know about that. That's a bit creepy.
It's
I don't know about that.
Sinister, isn't it?
Mitch Moth says, "I only need 4 more and I'm level." Bit of self-deprecation there. We like that. He's not full of himself. I like that one.
No, quite humble. So we've got Simply Fuss Free here. Says, "Pick that out of your score bag." Score bag?
Well, yeah, I like to use the phrase onion bag. Pick that out the onion bag. That's one of mine as well.
Yeah. I tend to go more literal when I say stuff like that. Pick that ball out of your goal. But it doesn't really carry as much, weight.
Yeah. Okay, well, what else have you got there, Ron?
Gould de Gonna says, actually, he doesn't say anything. I should have read this first. He doesn't say anything. He just describes the action that he takes, which is he does a ring kiss and then he points at the TV. Now, we should probably explain what a ring kiss is. That's if you're wearing a ring on your hand, you would then kiss it and point to the TV as opposed to any other interpretation of that particular action. He also points out that he doesn't even wear a ring.
Ron, what has happened to you? Before you went to Vancouver, you were such a homely, wholesome boy. And now, if you don't mind me saying so, this podcast, the last, indeed, of its kind before FIFA 12 comes out, you have been, well, shall I say, a tad outre. A little bit free and easy with the lingo that you're using.
Can I actually hear Baby Lee chuckling wetly in the background? Is that what's happening?
Not at all.
I'm sure I heard
As you
that.
know, he's just sat in the corner with a colouring book. He's occupied right now. Any more there, Ron?
We've got a guy here called Andreas Mluka. However you say that, I've got no idea. In a Spanish accent. Go! Lee, could you just keep that going? Right, if you just repeat it. Go! Right. Go! Can you imagine how annoying that would be if you're playing someone else?
Yeah, but he also...
Can you imagine?
Are you okay there, Ron?
Go! What?
Okay.
Go!
Yeah.
Go!
G Winter,
Goal.
93, says, "Take that and stick it in the top drawer." Actually, that's very similar to one of mine. So that was straight from the top drawer. I do that in the voice as well. The True Football says, "It's not me as much as it's my tiny little players and their big, big hearts." I like that one.
Yeah, that's quite good. Stephen Bond, who spells his name with numbers, says, "Time to get the tissues out, because that was effing sexy."
Rom?
What?
What has happened to you?
What do you mean?
I think, do you know what? I'm looking at Baby Lee, and he is weeping because he knows he's going to have to take a scalpel to this podcast when it comes to editing.
Is he going to have to bleep me then? That wasn't really a swear word or anything, was it?
Well, I think we have to be careful, Rom.
Let me just say it again, and we'll see what happens. So, effing. Do you think he'd bleep that as well?
Of course he will.
All right, okay. I've got another one here.
Go on then.
Footy Fantasies. He says, "I say nothing, just a simple finger to the lips and a knowing shh."
Now that is
That's
frustrating.
great.
That's
patronising.
frustrating, yes.
Yeah.
And that, out of all of them, is most effective when someone wants to get in there, right in your head, because you know that they've got one objective and one objective only, and that is to put you on the mantelpiece. Well, thanks ever so much for the response we had there. Everybody's got one. Everyone's got a unique response to how they score and how they taunt the opposition when it comes to FIFA. And, of course, Romilly Broad doesn't take much taunting, but it was, I have to say, very enjoyable beating you, Rom, in that particular game of FIFA.
Well, I've already forgotten, so that's how significant it was. Anyway,
Still there in the back of your mind, though, looming like a dark fantasy that you can't get rid of.
No, it's not. So we've got a hashtag for that as well, actually. It's called which, you wouldn't know about this, Stevie, because, you live in the 50s. It's hashtag...
The 1850s as well, by the way.
Oh, well, that's probably very dapper as well. With you can dress up like Jack the Ripper and all that.
He was the 1880s. So I'm 30 years early there. I think you'll find that I was fighting the Napoleonic Wars.
Oh, all right, well done. So you were covered in mud and blood?
No change.
Okay. No, not really. Anyway, we've got a hashtag for Twitter. It is hashtag #MyFIFAScoreline, and we would very much like to hear more of those because we had a right old laugh when we were reading all those earlier this week.
No, absolutely right there, Rom. Continue posting those on Twitter. We'd love to hear them and receive more of your post-goal taunts.
Here's the chance. Ready!
You're listening to the FIFA Podcast with Stevie and Rom.
Now it is, Rom, as we mentioned earlier, the last podcast that you and I will do before the game comes out, and then it is out there for everyone to play. But of course, there is a version of the game that people can play right now, and that is the demo, which of course we've had lots of positive feedback about. And I gather, Romilly Broad, you have a bit more news when it comes to the demo. Yeah,
the demo's done really well, by the way. I think it's something ridiculous, like 2 or 3 times more people have downloaded the demo this year than they have last year. And we might have given Xbox a little bit of a wobble as well when so many people went over to it to try and download the demo at the same time. On the whole, it's been very good, and the feedback on it is brilliant. But one thing that we've seen a lot of, actually, is videos surfacing on YouTube of strange moments, shall we say, in the game, principally due to the whole new engine that's in the game. So the player impact engine, which is completely reformats the whole way that the engine and the animation system flows and all the rest of it. And so anytime any of these weird moments happen where maybe someone is throwing themselves about the place, or their legs and arms are bending in a bit of a weird way, or one of them falls over and then his teammates fall over him and all that sort of stuff. We're seeing lots of videos of that stuff. And I just wanted to put some minds at rest, I suppose. And there's kind of 2 things to get across. One is, just because there's a lot of video doesn't mean that these things happen in the game all the time. They don't. They're actually quite rare. But the demo itself is a little bit old now in terms of code. There's been a lot of tuning and polishing and stuff like that happening between the demo, or even before the demo was out, actually. Obviously, you've got to submit your demo files to people like Microsoft and Sony quite a long time in advance. So actually, there's been quite a lot of work done since the demo was finished and sent off for people to download. So we've been looking at a lot of those videos. The dev team over here have been looking at a lot of the videos, and they want to make sure, obviously, that none of these videos are actually showing us something new or weird or something we didn't know about. And the good news is the vast majority of all those admittedly quite funny videos that you're seeing on the internet, they won't be in the final game. And I just wanted to point that out. Like, there's one in particular where you see Sergio Busquets falling about and doing a dramatic dive. That stuff just won't happen in the game. Players won't be falling over each other when they're on the ground and all that sort of stuff. That just won't be in the final game. And we're examining all those videos very carefully to make sure that there's nothing totally surprising in there, and that anything that we do see that is surprising, we're going to fix.
But also,
just wanted to get that out there.
Well, that's you're doing the right thing, Ron. But it's also reassuring as well, because the development team over there in Vancouver are always listening and always responding to the feedback from the community, which is how it should be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one advantage, of course, of getting a demo out there, is that so what's a good statistic that I got on an email the other day was that before the demo came out, there were over 105,000 man-hours of testing done on the demo. When the demo came out, there was something like 4.5 million hours of testing, in inverted commas, by people playing the demo in the first day. So that's the difference, because there might be things that, even though you've given it 100,000 hours of testing, you just don't see. So we're looking at those videos really carefully and making sure that we've got everything covered. So one thing, the message is, watch the videos by all means and be amused by them because, you know, they're quite funny and we're having a laugh as well. But we're able to have a laugh because we know that it won't be in the final game anywhere near as severe as that. So, you know, I hope that message gets across. In case anyone's looking at those videos and thinking, oh, no, the game's completely messed up. It's not. It's not. It's just a demo.
Well, there you go. The reassuring voice there of Romilly Broad.
Was that reassuring? Did you feel reassured?
I always feel reassured, Rom, apart from, I have to say, when you started this particular podcast and started talking about your butler. But I always feel reassured when you talk to me about the game. And
really?
yes, as you talk to me, it's almost as though you're here with me, stroking my hair and telling me, there, it's going to be all right.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that's nice to know.
Hi, I'm Theo Walker. Hi, I'm Alan Smith.
Hi, I'm Peter Chick.
Hi, I'm Tim Cahill.
I'm Jack Wilshere.
My name's Darren Brent and you're listening to the FIFA Podcast.
Well, joining us now on the FIFA 12 podcast is someone that we've spoken to before, and we're very excited to speak to him again because he is going to shed a great deal of light on the player ratings when it comes to FIFA 12, because it is Matthew Smith, who's the producer of the Data Collection Group, who are the very people, no doubt, who decide those player ratings. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm very good. No problem at all.
Okay, well, look, before we get into some of the details about individual player ratings for FIFA 12, what a job you have. It actually sounds on paper like a mammoth task.
It is. I mean, it's a fantastic job, but thankfully we've got, we're a very large team. There's 9 of us producers, but we're only the smallest part of it. Because over the whole world, we've got over 3,000 people as members of our community, whether they're editors who are actually changing things in our database, or reviewers who provide useful feedback. Every day of the year, I think that's something that we need to get across. People maybe think that we just sort of turn up, produce the database when the game is released and when there's the winter update, but it's going on all the time. Otherwise, of course, we'd never get it done because we've got over 15,000 players in the database. And actually, just at the moment, I've been welcoming our newest recruit to the team, and that's something that we never stopped doing. So I don't know whether, I'm sure you mentioned before our EA Football Talent Scout website, and anybody who's a football person is somebody that we want as a member of our community, whether they support, I don't know, Arsenal or Yeovil Town. We're looking for people from England, but from all around the world as well, if they've got something to contribute.
I mean, it's an incredible job. To me, it seems a lot like being God, the ability to bestow that talent and award those ratings on people. And of course, it's a topic that a lot of people get very passionate about. Is it the kind of thing where you accept, well, look, we're never really going to please everyone when it comes to these ratings?
Well, I think that's right. I mean, I think there's some things that we're not willing to accept. Some things are factual, and we want to get 100% of those right. And if somebody's date of birth is wrong, then that's hugely disappointing. And we hope that there's no examples of that. Obviously, a lot of the other data we produce is just opinion, really.
Yeah.
And we're always going to have supporters of different clubs who think their players are the best players in the world. We're always going to have, the other thing I guess we get is very young players who make the bench for the first time, maybe come on for a few minutes, and then people think, they're going to be absolutely fantastic. And of course, some of those players are, but we really need to see them prove it. And I guess in terms of the attributes, what we always make sure we focus on is the individual attributes rather than the overall ratings, because that's just a formula, really, and sometimes that produces things that people aren't very happy with. This player must be an 86 rather than an 85, whereas actually, if we focus on the individual attributes, that's the important thing, because that's what determines how they play in the game, not one figure that obviously everybody's interested in.
Talking about controversy, actually, I've got a question for you. Although I would actually very much like to ask about Yeovil Town's ratings. Maybe we can come on to that in a bit. Obviously, just about every player rating you put into the game is controversial. But what do you do, for example, with someone like Fernando Torres, who is clearly a diminutive? Well, he's not that diminutive, actually. He's a Spanish capsule of pure genius when he's on form. But right now, obviously, he's not. Very divisive. How do you go about making your decisions when it comes to players like that?
Well, we think our overall remit is to focus on the overall quality of a player. That's what we can judge. And, you can't judge the quality of a player on one game. Obviously, when it's somebody like Torres, who for a longer period of time starts to not produce the level of form that we used to, then we have to look at him. But generally, the sorts of players who are going to have their attributes increased a lot are people at the beginning of their career, or sometimes people who come from a league that we don't cover and people aren't watching regularly, and people whose attributes are going to go down a lot are people at the end of their career. Obviously, we need to reflect form, and we do that, so there will be some little changes, but Chelsea have been investigating this, haven't they? I was listening to the radio last night. They were talking about, they've been speaking to the Spanish Football Association to try and find out what's going on and analysing his form. And I think they basically decided that it's in his head. That's why he's not playing right at the moment. Well, we don't really have an attribute for that. Technically, physically, there's nothing really wrong with him in terms of his performance. Well, technically, it's not coming out right, but technically, in terms of his qualities, he's not deteriorating at his age. So wouldn't expect big changes with Torres. Obviously, if people are really focused on form, then we also do the live season part of the game, which is very much based on form. And then obviously his form in that over the beginning of the season has been not brilliant. Although he's had a couple of reasonable games, but some pretty bad games as well. So that's reflected in live season.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a message for everybody. If you want to get that instantly tracked form data in your game, then live season is there for that very purpose. One thing that we've heard about is that so if you look at the last few FIFAs, you'll find that all the highest rated players in terms of certain key attributes, particularly pace and strength, have been focused and located in the top leagues in the world, particularly the Spanish leagues or the English leagues, whatever. But that's changing a little bit this year, we hear, in that it won't just be the top leagues that feature some particularly standout players in terms of certain attributes. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We know that you can get people at very low levels who are very quick. You can get people at very low levels who are very strong, and also the opposite as well. The fact that there are players in the Premier League and the best league in the world who aren't particularly quick and aren't particularly strong. So we really made a huge effort to address that, so that players at all levels of the game really assume the physical characteristics that they've got. We've been able to do that because we've changed the overall rating formula, so it pays less attention to the physical attributes, because in the past people were reluctant. We've always been telling people to focus on the individual attributes, but people were reluctant to give lower players too high physical attributes because it still had a reasonably big effect on the overall rating formula. It still has an effect because obviously it's a part of the game, but it's not as big an effect as it was last year. And we've redone every player in the game in terms of their physical attributes. So for some players, there are obviously very big changes. And we're proud that there are some lower league players who have got really, really high physical attributes. We've even got a picture up on the wall of Adebayo Akinfenwa, who much travelled lower league striker in England, currently at Northampton, who is the strongest player in the game with 97. And we think that's going to make him much, much more realistic than he was in the past. He was strong before, but even stronger. So that's been a big change. And even with some of the physical attributes, the whole meaning of them has changed. And again, I've seen a bit of discussion about them because we've almost swapped round the meaning. With jumping, for example, that just used to be how high somebody could jump. So somebody like Peter Crouch would have a really high jumping value because obviously he's very, very tall. But that didn't give a chance to the lower players, players who weren't so tall, who could really jump masses. They would never have a chance against a high player, whereas we know, again, that there are smaller players who can jump much, much higher and challenge much taller players. So that's changed. We're now looking at the distance jumping off the floor and also balance, which before used to be focused on, you often find very big, strong defenders because nobody could really knock them over. They would have very high balance values. Now the focus is on people who are very comfortable in possession. So we're more looking at the people who've got a low centre of gravity and are able to retain their balance when moving at high speeds with or without the ball.
Well, you mentioned there that Adebayo Akinfenwa from Northampton is the strongest player in the game. Let's take a look at a few individual categories, and I wonder if you can enlighten us further. Who's the tallest player in the game?
The tallest player is somebody that maybe you'll know better than me. I don't know him very well, but he's somebody called Christoph van Hout from Kortrijk in Holland. He's 208 centimetres or 6'10". So he's some guy. He's the tallest player in the game at the moment. Obviously, there are some high-profile players a little bit below him.
Something tells me he's got to be a keeper. Either that, or he's being played seriously out of position.
You've got to take advantage of that, and you can't waste him anywhere else on the pitch.
Absolutely. Who's the fastest player?
The fastest player is somebody. It's a tie actually. Two much better-known players. Theo Walcott, of course, from Arsenal, and also Jonathan Biabiani from Parma now.
Okay, and the shortest player in the game, I'm not asking this just because I'm vertically challenged myself, but it's always nice to get a bit of detail.
It's somebody called Quiro from Cordoba in Spain. He's 5'2", 158 centimetres, so you won't be launching long balls towards him if you're playing with them.
I can attest to your fastest player there, actually, the guy from Parma. I was playing yesterday against him, and he tore me apart. So anyone who picks up Parma, by the way, there's a little guy in there who's going to do you a proper treat. What about best acceleration, though? Because obviously that's quite important as well.
Yeah, well, Theo Walcott, again, from Arsenal and Marvel Wynn from Colorado Rapids, and also somebody I've seen talked about quite a lot, just below them, Rio Miyashi at Arsenal, who's not made a big impression playing for Arsenal, but did out on loan last season. So, our Dutch team took a lot of notice of him, and he's very rapid, both in terms of speed and acceleration as well. So I think he'll be somebody who'll be featuring people's games when they're playing with Arsenal. And Lionel Messi, obviously, high acceleration as well.
Yeah, of course. What about crossing? Crossing was a very big deal in FIFA 11. It's a very different sort of beast when you're playing the game in FIFA 12, but crossing is important. Who's the best crosser in the game?
Well, it's a three-way tie this time. We've got Herkin from Malaga, David Beckham from LA Galaxy, and Maicon from Inter. And actually, the crossing values are a little lower than some of the others, which maybe reflects the fact that, tactically in football these days, less teams are playing with traditional wingers who are looking to get the ball into the box with a traditional centre forward. So the values for crossing are a little bit low, but below them some players from big teams. Ashley Young, who's made such a good impact at Manchester United this season so far, among them.
Yeah, definitely. Now, of course, on the end of those crosses, you've got to get someone who can put it in the back of the old onion bag. Who's the best finisher?
Well, no prizes for guessing this one. It's Lionel Messi, of course, with 93, so he's not going to miss too many chances with the balls in the box. Followed by 5 people with 91: Robin van Persie, Wayne Rooney, Diego Forlan, Carlos Tevez, and still going, Filippo Inzaghi.
Of course. Now, Robin van Persie is obviously not necessarily having the best finishing time of his whole career, but live season will reflect that, as we've been talking about. Now, finally, one more. Who is the heaviest player in the game?
Well, it's our old friend again, Christoph van Hout from Kortrijk. He's the tallest and he's also the heaviest, which is no surprise, I guess, weighing in at 106 kilograms or 16 stone 10. So
Well, then again, Fatty Fawkes, the legendary Chelsea keeper, was over 20 stone. So who knows? There may be, again, I don't know if anyone remembers Fatty Fawkes, but he was over 20 stone. He played for Chelsea in the 30s. So, there's no reason why you might be a big lad. You still might be able to do a job for the particular team that you play for. Talking of doing a job for the team that you play for, I wonder if finally, Matthew, you could give us the best player in each part of the field.
Yeah. As far as goalkeepers are concerned, we've got Iker Casillas from Real Madrid. He is overall 89. The best defender, Nemanja Vidic from Manchester United, 89 as well. Javi is the best midfielder, 92, obviously from Barcelona. And his colleague, who've mentioned already, Lionel Messi, is 94, which I think is the highest rated player that there's ever been in one of our games. And again, that reflects the change in the formula to really reflect the tremendous ability that he's got.
And I wondered, I know I said finally, but it's such an interesting topic, and I know a lot of people listening to the podcast will be thinking, well, why didn't you ask him that? Who are the best team?
The best team?
Yeah.
The best team? Well, the best team is the best team. I don't think anybody would argue about who they are certainly after last season's European Cup Champions League final. It's Barcelona, of course. They're the strongest team in the game.
You know what? For a second there, I was thinking, but Southampton didn't make it to the Champions League final. But there you go. Of course, who could it be but Barcelona? Matthew, thanks ever so much for joining us again on the FIFA podcast. And the amount of work that you do is phenomenal. And of course, as you mentioned there, it's ongoing throughout the course of the season, because what happens now isn't etched in stone, and with live season, it's updated all the time. But Matthew, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
That's a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Okay, well, there you go. Plenty of debate to be had there on those players and how they're rating, and there's more debate to come now in the Big Shout.
It's the chance for you to have your say in this week's Big Shout.
Before we get stuck into our topic du jour on the Big Shout, that was a fascinating conversation there with Matthew Smith, Rom.
Yeah, they do such massively important work, and obviously it's kind of a lose-lose situation, their job, because anytime you give all these players all these different attributes and stats and all the rest of it, it's going to be controversial. It doesn't matter what you do, because it's such a divisive, subjective issue in terms of what people think a certain player should be or not. So it's a bit of a thankless job, but they do a really, really good job. And of course, what they're helped by is having thousands of people all the way around the world supplying data and reference material and opinions about all these players, and they're all signed up to this data collection program. And I guess it's worth just mentioning that you can apply to join that program whenever you want. If you do have a particularly strong insight into Yeovil Town, get in touch, and there's a website for it, and that website is eafootballtalentscout.com, and they'll be very glad to hear from you if you're interested.
Well, on the subject of talent, Rom, that brings us to our Big Shout. And in this week's Big Shout, we're asking, what are the teams, leagues and players that you're going to make in Creation Centre? Now, I know what I'm going to do. Romilly Broad, what are you going to do?
I'm going to... I've spent so long telling people what they can do in this that I haven't even thought about what I can do for myself.
Okay, well, look... Do you know what?
I'm going to go South America. That's what I'm going to do. So obviously, we don't have the licenses for the South American leagues and teams and stuff like that. Okay. So I might go and create my own version of it. Because the advantage of Creation Centre this year, unlike previous years, is that anything you create, you can import into your career mode. So once I've created my South American super team, they can drop into career mode. And then even if I'm not playing in that league or that team, I can go and buy them on the transfer market and stuff like that.
Okay, and we should add as well, after the Big Shout, once we've discussed this very particular topic, you can hear more about Creation Centre because Rom's done an in-depth interview with Sebastian Enrique, who's one of the producers behind Creation Centre. And we've been inundated with comments from people telling us exactly what they're going to do once they get to grips with Creation Centre. I know what I'm going to do, Ron.
What?
It's not going to be an all-time England 11. For me, it's an England classic 11.
Right.
It's not all-time because I know that there are players in here that perhaps, many people will sneer at. But it's going to be a classic 11. So can I run through it with you?
Sure.
Okay. In goal, Peter Shilton.
Yeah. Okay.
Defence, Gary Neville.
What?
Bobby Moore.
Okay.
Tony Adams.
Yeah.
And at left back, the best player for England over the past decade, Ashley Cole.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. I can disagree with the other side of your defensive line, though.
Yeah, I know why, and it's called Liverpool FC. You support them. Moving on to midfield. What about this for a midfield, Rom? Imagine this midfield. Kevin Keegan. Bobby Charlton. Glenn Hoddle. Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
That is a midfield that is all about goals. That is a midfield that is all about attack. Huh?
Yeah.
There's none of your so-called holding midfield player in there, Rom. And we don't want to go down.
You're going to concede lots of goals with your Creation Centre team.
Maybe I'm a bit like Keegan when it comes to managerial approaches, or maybe I'm a bit like Keegan when it comes to a managerial approach. Yeah, that's what I like to do. Up front, 2 men up front: Wayne Rooney, Gary Lineker.
Yeah. There's one name missing from your squad.
Who?
Gaza.
Ooh, do you know what? Actually, that's a great debate. He's on the bench
at his best.
He's on the bench.
Right. Okay. Who else is on your bench? Shearer.
Carlton Palmer.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. But this is the beauty of Creation Centre, and as I say, you'll tell us more about it in your conversation with Sebastian Enrique, which we can hear shortly. But Rom, as I say, many people have been sharing with us what they intend to do. I'll go through a couple, and then if you can share a couple with us as well. The front men said exactly what Romilly said there, exploring what the great swathes of America has to offer. The frontman says that he's going to look at a lot of lower-level American teams and create his own classic 11. He can't wait. Mr. Rager says the Irish First Division for a start, and then I hope people make the Turkish League. Hey, I'll tell you what, I saw a thing today. This is an aside. Right, I saw a thing today, Rom, in the Turkish League, because there are some clubs that there's been some disturbances in the ground. Guess what the Turkish FA have dreamt up, to combat disturbances or crowd disturbances in the ground? Ban men.
Ban men?
Ban men. Make it all women. So they're going to say to these clubs, yeah, seriously, we're going to say to these clubs, okay, fine, you've got, you haven't dealt successfully with the crowd trouble, so you cannot allow men into the ground or women.
That would work.
I tell you, of course it will. Of course it will. What a sense! No. Now that is if you're going to tackle crowd problems, that's a progressive approach. Anyway, that's just an aside. Just thought I'd share it whilst we were talking about the Turkish League. Well, Rom, what have you got there?
Darren Noonan says he would love to put together the 1999 Man United treble-winning side, and that's fair enough. And in fact, there's probably a couple of players that are still active and in the game that you could draw into that team. One of the things from Creation Centre this year that you couldn't do before, of course, is using licensed players that are in the game in the teams that you create. You couldn't do that before, but you can do it now. So Giggsy's one, obviously. Who else?
So you could... Oh, Beckham, of course.
Beckham, yeah, he's there. So best crosser in the game.
You could... This would be interesting. Imagine a forward three, and I'll leave it to your imagination. who your Man United centre forward might be. Could be Rooney. But imagine if you've got Beckham on the right flank and George Best on the left.
Wow.
Rooney
could be...
This is fantasy football stuff.
That's what Creation Centre's all about. That's why it's so brilliant. Anyway, I'll move on to the next one. RLU Unsworth. He says, I will be making RIL FC in the FIFA 12 Creation Centre and will eventually guide them to European glory.
You've heard it
RIL
here
FC,
first,
obviously.
folks.
Yeah, that's a Welsh team, just for anyone of our international listeners that may not know that.
And again, for the benefit of our international listeners, where is Wales?
Well, it's sort of the tummy of the British Isles.
Exactly. If you looked at the British Isles, you would say that Suffolk is the bottom, Wales is the tummy, Devon and Cornwall are the leg, and Scotland is the kind of bouffant.
Yes. Well, what you could say is that Northern England is the head, and Scotland is the kind of the Elvis hairdo, sort of in a wind. No.
You could do. You could do. Yes, of course. Again, I think we've been sidetracked here, Rom, particularly when Creation Centre has initiated so much great debate, and I think this is an issue and indeed a part of the game which a lot of people are very excited about. So, Rom, I'm so pleased that you've pulled your finger out and done a little bit of extra work for this podcast, because you have been in conversation with Sebastian Enrique, as I said earlier, one of the men behind Creation Centre. So before I bid you all farewell and speak to you in the dim and distant future, I will leave you with Romilly Broad meeting Sebastian Enrique, and they're talking Creation Centre. Rom, until next time, goodbye.
I'm sat in the noisiest meeting room at the FIFA studio right now. So before doing anything, I'm going to apologise. It's also dinner time, so you might hear plates and people eating and things like that. I'm sat here with Sebastian Enrique, though, who is the producer of something known as Creation Centre.
Hello, guys.
Right? Yeah? Is that right?
Yeah.
Did I say your name right?
Yeah, Creation Centre.
What about Sebastian Enrique?
Sebastian is fine, and Enrique, it's whatever you want to pronounce it is fine.
I was thinking about this earlier on, actually. Your name is basically a conjunction of a couple of famous Premier League players. There's Seb Larsson, who plays for Sunderland, who's very, very good. Yeah. And, of course, the brilliant Jose Enrique for Liverpool. And then I got to thinking, well, you might be related.
No, not at all. So there were a couple of players in Argentina 86 as well that had the last name Enrique, and people always asked me about it, but I was like, no way.
You must be related. I mean, it's the same name. Come on. So you are from Argentina then?
I am from Argentina.
That gives you a good footballing pedigree.
I think so. I'm not that good playing, but I'm really passionate. So I follow a team that is a really small team called Tigre. We're in first division now.
All right.
But yes, I'm really passionate about it.
Well, I don't know anyone who works here who isn't in one way or another passionate about football. It would be a bit difficult to do the job without having that.
Yeah, but we have the fight, so we have some Brazilian guys here as well, and it's like, who's more passionate about football? Is it you? Is it me? And we are fighting all the time.
Physically fighting? Do you
no, not physically, verbally, but it's a folklore, how we call of football, like taunting each other all the time, so it's good.
Right, okay. So anyway, on topic, Creation Centre. Now, obviously, that's something that people have been using and enjoying with FIFA 11. But the good news is there's a whole bunch of new stuff to come with FIFA 12. But before we get into what all that new stuff is, give us, for anyone who hasn't come across Creation Centre before, what is it? What's the concept behind it, and how do you do it? Where do you get at it?
So the concept behind it is that we wanted to do something to customize your FIFA experience, to do it like to play the way you want to play. That's something that we apply that concept in several things inside FIFA. And one of the things was like, okay, let's create a tool where people can customize the players and teams, like create teams, and then use those teams in the console. The best option for us was putting on a website, like the tool. Why on a website? Because everyone can access to that when you have 10 minutes break from work, or when you're like doing anything like in a coffee shop, you have your laptop, oh, I want to edit my team. And it's better access, and it doesn't matter the platform you play the game. So you can create something that even if you have a PS3 or if you have a 360, you can download and use. So it's awesome being able to create something on web and then being able to download that in console and play with that.
Yeah. So it's a nice idea, but in FIFA 11 you could create players and you could create teams, and you could use them in what modes in the game?
So in FIFA 11 it was a beta version, Creation Center. Because we wanted to see we had this fantastic idea of what were the things we wanted to do, but we didn't really know if people were willing to use something like that, if they really wanted to use something like that. So we launched Creation Center as like a minimalistic version, I can say. For that reason, was a beta, and you could create players, you could create teams, and then bring those players and teams and use them like the teams you could use to play unranked head-to-head games with your friends. And you can only play in the offline games of kickoff. And also in tournament mode. So when you go and create a custom tournament, you can add all the teams that you want and do your own tournament, but inside the console, like with limited options.
So before we get onto this, is changing for FIFA 12. So that's going to be interesting. We'll get onto that in a minute. Of the things that people have been used to in terms of the players and the teams and all the options and things that you get around creating those. They're all still in this, but better. Can you give us some details about how that core stuff has improved over what people have been using already?
One of the things, Create Player, it had a lot of fantastic options. You could edit every single attribute of the player. You can assign traits for the player. So if he's I don't know, somebody that argues with the referee, if he's a leader, like all those traits you can assign. You can assign accessories to the players, like boots. You can assign like if they wear gloves in winter time, like a lot of like finer details. But the areas that we were kind of lacking of in the creation of a player was in the appearance. So a lot of people like in the forums, and I kind of agree with them, were saying that there are not that many faces to choose from, even though they could change hairstyles, but there were not that many faces, skin colors. So what we did this year was revamped completely that appearance option. Now you have like a full 3D preview of the appearance option. You have many more faces to choose from. You have more skin tone colors to choose from, like different, also different textures to apply for the face.
Right.
So you can choose a skin color, but probably you can choose, okay, I want this guy to have like an old face texture with wrinkles and all of that, or like a young texture. And that said, so we have a lot of more hairstyles to choose from as well. And plenty of things like different hair colors as well, different more eye colors as well. We increase as well the facial hairstyle. So a lot of different options to make really your player unique.
Yeah, I'm looking at this bit of paper in front of me, right, and it says in FIFA 11 you had about 400,000 different options if you added them all up, all the variations, and that is now increased with FIFA 12 Creation Center to over 2 billion.
Yeah, that's right, and that was a big problem for us because not a big problem for the amount of things. But because last year we had all these player faces that were pre-rendered, for that reason it was a 2D version of what you were seeing previewing your player. So now we had to go full 3D because it's almost impossible to have like all the 2 billion combinations like pre-made. So for the reason now the preview is 3D, but it looks really awesome. So I encourage all the people to go and download like the free Unity 3D plugin for your browser, because seriously it looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean I've seen it. It does look cool. It also says here that there's some thing about shoes and gloves.
Yeah, so gloves is something new for FIFA 12. So last year the only accessories that were branded accessories that you can choose for your players were the shoes.
Yeah.
We had Adidas shoes and like more different branded shoes. This year we also have gloves for the keeper, so the keeper can choose like, okay, do you want to wear the finger safe gloves? Do you want to wear I don't know, all these different kind of gloves that the brands like manufacture that they are really good. But that said, we also have the new models from shoes like Adidas and Nike, so all the different brands. So some of that were there last year are not available anymore because they are phased out models. But we have all the new models that you can see all the players wearing today, like in real games.
So that's cool. That's all the stuff. If you've ever used Creation Center before, that's what you're going to get on top of the stuff that you're used to using. But I suppose to move it on a little bit, one of the big new things about Creation Center this year is the ability to import the things you create, the players and the teams that you create, into career mode. So previously it was just head-to-head unranked or exhibition games or limited tournaments, but now you can really get busy with this stuff, right, in career mode.
Yeah, exactly. Because the important thing is you can incorporate teams in two ways into your career mode. One is when you are doing your new career mode setup, you can swap teams. So, for example, if you want to replace, let's say that you want to play your career in the Australian League, what you can do is replace one of those teams that is on the Australian League by one of your Creation Center teams. You can replace every single team, swap any single team for Creation Center teams that you have on your console, obviously. But the nicest part of this is that something completely new on the web is that you can create tournaments. So you can create 3 types of tournaments. So one that is the knockouts, the other one that is a group plus knockouts. So the 2 of those, so they represent kind of cups. But then you can also create leagues. And when you're in the new career mode setup, what you can do is select one of those leagues that you have on your console, created with Creation Center, and use it in the career mode world. So you can play with that league, or you can just incorporate it as part of the world. So you might be, also you incorporate the league, but you're playing the Serie A in Italy, and then you can go and buy players from that league. So it's part of the career mode world.
That's cool. So just to make sure I've got my own head around it, if you're playing Serie A, you can go off and buy players from your own created teams that are currently playing in Australia.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's a huge thing. And obviously, without saying things we're not allowed to really say, that gives people in all parts of the world who may not necessarily have the opportunity to play with the teams and the leagues that they might most want to play with. It might give them an opportunity, shall we say, to further enrich their career mode experience in the game.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm saying that all right without going too far, saying things I shouldn't.
Yeah, you're saying it perfect. As long as the people who have the rights, let's say,
yes,
for the stuff that they are creating and uploading, they can enjoy the full experience in the game.
Absolutely. And when you say people need to have the rights to do stuff, one of the new things, obviously, is you can now upload your own images to use on your created players and stuff.
Yeah, not on the players, but on the teams and in the tournaments. When you create a team, and these are part of the new things that we have in the FIFA 12 Creation Center, so you can upload a team logo. So we have last year what we had were like a bunch of generic crest, generic team logos that you can select the primary and secondary colors. So we added new crest templates, but additionally on top of that, instead of selecting one of those templates, what you can do is select an image from your computer to upload that image and use that image as a team logo.
Yeah,
it's not the only image that you can upload. So when you're creating the shirts for your team, what you can also do is select an image that is going to be stamped in the front of the shirt. So it looks like a kit sponsor. And you can colorize that as well. So let's imagine that you have like a home shirt that is black and an away shirt that is white. So the ideal way for uploading like a sponsor is you have a sponsor that is a PNG image with transparency and it's made of white. Yeah. So you upload the white image, and what you can do is say, okay, I want this to be color red when it's on top of the white shirt, and I want this to be colored yellow when it's on top of the black shirt. So you have, with a single image, 2 different colors on the home and away kit.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you can upload is the tournament logo. When you're creating the tournament, you can upload that as well, an image that is a tournament logo.
Yeah. You just need to have the rights in order to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
There we go. Caveat inserted appropriately. So what else is new, do you think?
What else is new? There are plenty of things. So for the created team that we didn't speak that much about, we have new shirt models. So all the new brands, Adidas, Nike, Umbro, Puma. We have Under Armour kits as well this year. And we have a lot of the new models. And last year, you were only able to select the primary and secondary color for a kit.
Right.
And that was the same primary and secondary color that was used in the shirt, in the shorts, and in the socks. This year, we separated that. So you can not only choose primary, secondary, but you can choose also the tertiary color. And you can select like a primary, secondary, and tertiary to use on the shirt. You can select different colors to use on the shorts and different colors to use on the socks. So it gives you like a variety and an amount of combination of things that you can choose that is amazing. So you can really have unique kits with that. And so as I mentioned, we have like plenty of new kits. And we have more colors. So the colors were kind of limited last year.
Right.
So we have more colors to choose from this year. Another aspect of Create Team is that the squad, when you were like assembling the squad, who were the starting 11, who were the subs, who were the reserves, we thought last year that the interface needed like improvement to be more user-friendly, because it is one of the screens where people spend the most amount of time. That is, okay, this week, because we've seen a lot of activity of people going and changing like every single week the team, because I want the team this week to play like this.
Right.
And so what we did is we improved the screen so it's more user-friendly, and you can also choose a custom formation there. Okay. If you have the entitlement, that is something that we're going to talk in a minute, I guess.
Yeah.
And another new thing is the ability to choose a third kit, the alternate kit, to select a third kit for your team.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. There's a couple of... Now, before we talk, there's obviously going to be these entitlements and packs and things like that, but we'll talk about that in a second. One thing that's worth pointing out is there's an obvious application for all of this technology, and we've had a lot of questions about this in terms of clubs and online team play and things like that. Now, the answer to that is, unfortunately, this stuff is not applicable to clubs online, and we've been telling lots of people that. But just to reiterate that point, perhaps you can give us a bit of background on there, because it would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So the background is when we know what people ask for, because most of the things that we did this year were things that when I went through the forums and hearing people, and even myself, because I'm also a user of this thing, things that we really wanted. But there were some things that we had to left behind because of time. Yeah. One of those things was the ability to use for creating kits and creating crests and use that into clubs. That's something that it's one of the pieces that really, really hurts my heart, because it's something that I really wanted to do, but unfortunately we didn't have time. I guess that is something that we're gonna look into the future, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we could never say whether that will definitely happen or not, but speaking to you and speaking to just about everyone else at the studio, everyone kind of nods and says yes, we would really like to do that. So
yeah, it's one of the things that I really, really want to. So I'm gonna do everything I have in my power to try to push for that.
Yeah, and I know, I speak to a lot of clubs guys out there. There's obviously a lot of clubs fans, and if you're listening to this, I hope you hear that. And it's obviously close to everyone's heart. So keep them peeled for the future. But unfortunately, it won't be in there this time. I've got another question for you.
Go ahead.
PC, the PC game.
You can use all of these on PC.
That's a very simple answer. I didn't even ask the question, and you already knew what that was. So obviously,
But not only that. So let me tell you something else.
Not only that.
Not only that. And this is something that is extremely important for people that spent a lot of time last year. So we had more than 4 million downloads, and people really spending a lot of time every day to customize their creations, or every week. Everything that you created in FIFA 11 is going to work on FIFA 12.
Wow. Okay.
That's something, so it's fair for the people that created stuff. So all the time and investment that you put into your teams, into your players, that's going to carry over into 12. So if you have stuff that is bookmarked, how we call the thing when you select things on the web that you want to download on the console. So if you have stuff that is bookmarked and you're seeing on the FIFA 11 disc, as soon as you get the FIFA 12 disc, you put that into the console, you go to Creation Center, and you will see all of those teams that you can download right away and continue playing. The caveat of this is that if the next time that you edit your team that was saved in the FIFA 11 format, it's going to allow you the opportunity to use all the new features for FIFA 12. So when you save that team, it's going to be saved with the 12 format. So people in the FIFA 11 disc can no longer download that team and use that team. So everything is like carrying forward. But the good thing is that you don't lose anything that you created before.
That's going to be cool. So do you know off the top of your head, I might be putting you on the spot here, do you know how many things have been created over the last year?
I don't have it on top of my head, but I know that we have more than 2 million players for sure.
2 million created players through creators.
And right. Teams, we are like in the 300,000.
Right.
But for us, it's not only the creation numbers that we look for, but also the downloads, because that's what, in general, we see that there is like a smaller community of creators and a bigger community of the people that consume what creators do. And but it's all right. So for us, having like in the first version of Creation Center, 4 million downloads or more than 4 million downloads, it's amazing and something that encouraged us really to continue doing more and more with this.
Yeah, and certainly have. So onto the final piece, of course. Now, one of the things that is also new about this, so all the existing FIFA 11 Creation Center functionality is there, and it's better, it's improved, and it's expanded. The new stuff that's being added on top comes at a bit of a premium. So the way you'll be able to access this stuff, if I'm right, stop me if I'm going off track, is that you'll be able to go into the FIFA 12 store in the game, and you'll see some DLC packs that you can download pretty cheaply, and they will entitle you to certain different elements of this stuff. Can you explain to us what they are and how that works?
There are different components of this. So for creating things, anyone with the EA account, even if you don't have the game on your hands, anyone with the EA account can go to the EA Sports football website, access Creation Center, and create stuff. What are the things that are kind of free? It's everything that was there last year, plus some of the improvements, like all the 3D visualization of the players, like a lot of the new assets. On the teams, the creation of the tournament is free as well. The things that we had to create like a small fee for some of the like extremely, let's call it extremely hardcore editing options.
Intensive things,
it's because we need to keep a service with this. So it's people that it's using this every single year. So we need to keep a service. We need to make sure that we are able to keep a good level of service. So we need to put a small fee on some of the premium content. The first thing that I have to say is that everyone with the season ticket account has free access to all that premium content. But if you're not a season ticket holder and you just want to like specific things on Creation Center, you can go to the console, and you can go to the store in the console, and you will see what are the Creation Center packs. That is how we call it. There are 6 packs, so we divided them in 6 packs. They are pretty cheap packs. So if you accumulate the all of them, it's gonna be around $8 I think the price varies slightly on the different territories, so make sure to check what's the price. But it's pretty cheap to get.
Currency you're using, but I mean, if you, I know that there are like 1 or 2 of these packs. I think that it's about 99 cents or something.
So it's the idea is not to rip people money off. It's just to keep. To allow us to provide the level of service that we need in order to support this. So last year it was just text, if we want to call it, but this year, because we need to support images, that involves a lot of maintenance and service, and people also checking that nobody is trying to upload like obscene things.
Yes, right. There needs to be a certain amount of oversight supplied.
So and to say what are the different packs that you can obtain. One is a tournament packs. What is a tournament packs? You can create more tournaments, you can download more tournaments at the same time, and you can upload the image logo for the tournament. Then we have the career mode pack. That is the one that allows you to use the teams and the leagues into career mode. This is a really nice pack. And then we have the teams pack, that if you are not a premium user, you can only upload 1 image to use as a team logo and 1 image to use as a kit sponsor, regardless of how many teams you created. If you get the teams pack, you can upload images to all the teams you create, and you can download and you can create more teams. Then we have like a yet 10 more pack, that is to have 10 additional team slots to download. So if you're like a really into this, so by free you have 24 teams that you can download. If you buy the teams, those are additional 24, and if you get the yet 10 more teams, you get additional 10. So total, you might get up to 48 teams to download. Then we have the licensor pack. This is a really nice thing because it allows you to use licensed players into your team creations, licensed teams into your tournament creations, and you can use also licensed stadiums as the home ground. I've seen many people, I hope they have the rights, that were creating like classic teams. And it's nice if you're creating Arsenal classic team to be able to select the home ground, the corresponding one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but this is the licensor pack that allows you to use all those licensed assets that are shipped with the FIFA 12 console game.
Yeah. So just to clarify, just to be clear on that, that's obviously FIFA 12 is full of players and teams that are all licensed and currently alive and playing in the world today. This enables you to use those in your created teams. And
you can create your own, like let's say we have in the console game, we have a team that is called the World 11. What is a World 11? It is what some of our guys think that is the best team of the world, but you can go and create your own Stars team, just made of players that we have in the game.
And could you then create your own World 11, put them in your Australian league as a team, and then buy them while playing in Serie A in career mode? Okay.
I don't think they're going to be cheap, but you can buy them.
No, okay.
And then we have one more pack, the 6th, that is called the Serious Editor pack. That the Serious Editor is really an assortment of advanced options. So you can not only choose the preferred position of a player, but you can choose what is a second or third or fourth preferred position. Why is that? Because if these players are playing like in career mode and are being controlled by this manager AI in career mode, so the manager AI will say, oh, this guy is not only a right back, but he sometimes plays as a center back, or he sometimes plays as a right mid. So CPU AI will be able to assemble a better team when it's looking for options. And then you can assign like a green and blue hair colors if you want to. When you create a team, this pack is the one that allows you to choose a third or alternate kit. And you can create custom formations with this pack. And then in tournaments, some couple of nice touches. You can select what is a tournament ball. So we have, this is new as well for 12. you can choose like licensed balls or generic EA balls to use as a tournament ball when you have this Serious Editor pack. And then you can also choose, all those broadcast graphics elements that are showing you the score, the players' names. Well, you can choose the colors of those.
That's cool. That's surprising. Wow. Okay, because that all looks a bit shiny and new in FIFA 12 anyway. Generally. If you see what I mean. Nice. Well, that probably wraps us up, I should think, for now. Maybe a quick Q&A type thing we could do. So if you don't buy any of these packs and entitlements to really boost what you want to do and stuff, what's the default level of things you can create? So how many teams and how many players can you make?
So you can create 50 players, you can create 50 teams, and you can create one tournament.
Okay.
And you can download or have at the same time in your console up to 50 players, up to 24 teams, and up to one tournament, with the caveat that the teams that are inside the tournament counts toward the team's limit. So if you have like a tournament made of 20 teams, you only have four teams left to download. But that's how many things you can have simultaneously on your game. So because you can delete, you can update, and you can download like all the amount of times that you want.
Yeah, all day if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, so I'm quite lazy personally. I probably, I'm not sure I've got the energy to go on there and put all this attention to detail in and creating my own stuff. But other people do, obviously, and they create, for example, their own version of a bunch of Turkish teams that they want to use, say something like
if
that.
They have
they have the rights to do that, and I'm really keen to do that. But I haven't bought these premium packs and things like that. Can I still use that? Can I go and download it?
You can download anything you want, regardless if it was created by a premium account user or by a free, let's call, user.
Yeah.
So if somebody created like a league, and all that league is made with a custom ball, with a branded ball, he selected a ball with custom colors for the broadcast overlays. If he has like a team logo for all the teams, if he has like a kit sponsor for all the kits, you can completely download that. There is no problem, and you can use it, and it's gonna look as if you were like created stuff yourself. But so you can download anything, regardless of if it was created by a premium account user or a regular user.
Right, and then that all can go into my career mode game, and I can play with them however I want. That's great stuff. So I would urge everybody to go and have a look at this. One thing that we will try to do is definitely identify the very best creations that people have come up with and make sure that people are aware of them. But you should be able to see what the top downloaded things are and all that on the website anyway, right?
Yeah, and if you want me to talk about the behavior that we found in 11, I can give you.
Do that.
So the good thing, a lot of people when we released this, because there is no limit in the attributes that you can put on the player. So if you want to do like a 99 rated player, you can. Yeah. If you want to do like a 1 rated player, you can. So a lot of people were saying, we should, EA should limit this, EA should limit that, so nobody creates super teams. The reality is that I'm personally in favor of letting people play the way they want.
Yeah.
And the good thing, and this is something that is really, it was really good for me. It was really satisfying to see that most people created and download teams that were properly created the same in some sense. So teams that are going to be 60 rated if they really think that is a 60 rated teams, or teams that are 70 rated or 80 rated. There were some super teams, but the community put their back on those.
Yeah, they just ignored them.
Yeah,
it's not realistic.
And then there were some teams made of 1 rated teams because people wanted to have fun with those.
Yeah.
But the reality is that I was extremely satisfied that even though we give the power to do whatever you want, that people do kind of the right thing.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with FIFA 12, and now you've got all these extra options. And I mean, in theory, people can be creating incredibly realistic stuff. With any criteria, anything that they want, and really adds an extra layer of complexity and sophistication to people's experience.
I encourage people to read the terms of service because now that you can upload images, so there are more possibilities for abusing of the system. So you need to have the rights for whatever you're uploading. And one thing that is over there for people that feel offended about any content, so you can report content both on the web and on the console as offensive content. And our team here, our customer service team, would review those and take action.
Cool. And that's our service element to all of this sort of stuff. Right, well, I think that just about wraps us up. One of the things that we're going to try and do very soon is get you hooked into our Twitter account and do a bit of a live Q&A. So we'll let people know about that. Assuming it doesn't happen before we publish this podcast, of course, in which case I'm just talking nonsense. But there's plenty more to come on this. You've written us an article that we'll publish on the website that details a lot of what we've just talked about. People can look at it there. But essentially, the advice is you can just go and start playing around with this stuff, and you should, because the options and the variety is just immense. And
the website is going to go live soon enough. So if you go today to the website, you will see the nice countdown. So I encourage everyone going and getting ready for it, and use advantage of the early access to FIFA 12 Creation Center that is going to be there in a few days. So when you get the disc in your hands, first day, you can go and download everything created with the new stuff.
Yeah, you can get started early. The website address, by the way, is easportsfootball.com/Creation Center, as you'd expect. Now, Creation Center is a bit of a funny word because you can spell it two ways depending on which side of the Atlantic you are. Which way is it spelled?
It's with that R-E.
It's spelled the correct way for all those people in North America who might want to switch those letters around. Creation Center, European spelling type thing, English. Anyway, yes, so go and try it out. It's by the time you hear this, it should all be live, I reckon. Get creating and be sure to tell us what your... show us what you've done, and if we like it, we'll make sure that lots of other people see it too. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks everyone, and thanks in particular for all the people that play your game and give us feedback, because that's what we want, is continuously doing a better and better game of football.
Exactly, and all this stuff that we've just been talking about is as a direct result of that feedback, so keep it coming. All right, we'll speak to you next time.
Thanks, see you guys.
Cheers.